Hello everyone, welcome to Library of Legends video 2. In this video, I'm going to share with you my reading canvas. It's how I've managed in my life to read one book and transfer it onto one page. These one-pager notes will allow you to extract the best lessons from a book so that A, you can retain that information, remember it more long-term, and in the future, even share, teach, or give it away to other people who'd love to learn about it as well. Hopefully you've seen the video where I share about how I read a book a day. In that video, I talk to you about my methods for reading faster and reading smarter. When you're applying that, there's 3 things you want to look out for in any page or any chapter that you're reading. And this makes it really, really simple. When you're looking at the page of a book or you're looking at a chapter in its entirety, there are 3 things you want to be looking out for. The first thing you want to look out for is stories, anecdotes, examples, analogies that are so memorable that you'd never forget them, especially if you write them down. And I want you to start extracting them. When you read a story or you come across an anecdote or an example or an analogy that you fall in love with, take a picture of it with your phone. That's the quickest way to make notes now. Don't worry about writing it out or typing it out. Just take a picture of that page with the actual anecdote or example so that you've got it logged. In the future, you can then put it into a document, put it into Evernote, wherever you like to share your notes. The second thing I want you to look out for when you're looking at a page or a chapter is statistics. See, our brain loves numbers and our mind loves numbers, and usually when we're sharing ideas and insights with friends, we like to be able to give them evidence. Whenever you come across a statistic that stands out to you, make sure you note it down in exactly the same way. And the third thing to look out for on a chapter or a page is a strategy or a key takeaway. A lot of authors are using this right now towards the end of chapters where they share how you can actually put these into practice, or they share a meditation, or they share an activity or reflection exercise that you can actually take part in. Those are the 3 things you want to look out for when you're looking at a page or a chapter: stories, statistics, and strategies. The 3S formula means that you'll capture the insight and the main essence of the book that you're reading. Remember, the author has put so much energy into researching these 3 areas. They form the building blocks of any great book. This is where you're going to be able to extrapolate the essence of the book when you clearly understand the stories, the statistics, and the strategies that make up each page and each chapter. What I'm sharing with you now is my reading canvas. On this one pager, you can map an entire book at its very core. The reason why this is useful is because most of what you read in the book is only evidence to back up a claim the author is making. If you look at any book today, non-fiction, self-development, personal growth, the author is really making 1 to 3 claims in the whole book. The rest of the book is stories, statistics, and strategies to give weight to that claim, to provide support for what they're trying to share. So what this reading canvas allows you to do is only take what really stood out to you as being things that you'd like to share in the future. There may be stories you'll tell in the workplace, or there may just be things that help you remember what you read. Let me break down this reading canvas for you and how I go through it when I'm reading a book. The first section on the reading canvas is called the summary section. It's one of the largest sections on the canvas. Now, you may think that you need to read a whole book to be able to write a summary, but that's not true. Actually, you can read only the introduction and chapter 1, and usually a good author will be able to summarize what the book is about. To be honest, a lot of people end up skipping the foreword, skipping the introduction, sometimes even skipping chapter 1, and that's where the author has put in a lot of emphasis into how that book really works. What I'd love for you to do is try and read an introduction of a book and try and write the summary simply from that. Focus in so much into that introduction or chapter 1 and see if you can write a 3-point summary. All you need to do is write down the 3 biggest ideas that are shared. Most books today and good authors will focus in on much more limited points with much more substance than giving you a long list of points that are very hard to remember. Try and get out the 3 big ideas from the introduction that the author is trying to share. The second area is called the key message. Now, the summary gives you a summary of the overall book. The key message is the big punchline that the author is trying to give you. It's like a good joke. The joke may have an incredible story, tapestry, weave into all different areas, but at the final stage, there's a punchline. That punchline is what stays with you, it's what rings true forever. For any book you read, you want to try and summarize it in 1 line. An author may even have placed a quote on the first page. They may have a quote on chapter 1. They may share actually what that is, and I want you to take that away because it helps you define a book. You should be able to explain what a book you just read is in one line. And that's exactly what goes in this key message section. I then have 3 lesson areas: lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. These are usually selected from my favorite chapters. Now, if you watched my video, How I Read a Book a Day, in that video, I talk about how I extrapolate lessons from the chapters that I really want to read. And that's what I recommend here. I'd like you to choose 3 chapters in a book that you feel are focused in on areas of your life that you need to change. Remember, reading a book is kind of like going to a grocery store. You don't need to walk through every aisle to know what you need to buy. If you want to go and get a certain type of grocery, if you need to buy more cereal, you need to buy more chips, you walk to that aisle and you walk out. If you need milk, you don't go to another aisle. Similarly, when you're reading a book, focus in on chapters of where there is insight on how to improve a challenge that you're going through, something you want to learn, somewhere where you want to advance and enhance your skills. This is how you form the 3 lessons. They can be taken from your 3 favorite chapters and summarizing them in the same way. I have one area of the canvas called videos. That's because today we're so fortunate that any author probably has given a speech on their thought process. The great thing about that is they're summarizing it for you. I highly recommend that you go out there onto YouTube, not very difficult, type in the author's name in the book and watch their presentation on that book, or watch an interview they've done as part of their promotional material. When you watch that, you'll be able to grab the essence of that book in just a moment. I then like you to always have your top 2 takeaways from a book. This is kind of like, what are you really taking away to put into practice? When we move to video 3 that you will do after this video, in that I will talk about how to make those pages into practice, how to take that learning into your life, how to actually apply these things in an actionable way. Your top 2 takeaways are 2 things that you really feel, I wish I could put that into my life. I wish I could apply that. That's exactly what I need. I want you to bring those 2 highlights to the 2 takeaways column on your reading canvas. The 2 other areas of the canvas, how you should read it and who is it for, is really when you're sharing your canvas with friends or family and other people. It's to remind you who that may be useful for in your network or in your community or even in the workplace. You may want to get a gift for someone. You may want to be able to give it to someone because they're going through something. That's going to help you remember how it can impact other people's lives. I guarantee if you use this method, you'll be able to remember what you read. You don't need to remember everything in a book because most of the book is backing up the claims that you're putting into this canvas. This canvas acts as the real front page of the book. This is your summary. This is your canvas. This is your moment to be able to create something that allows you to understand one whole book in just one page. Try it out. It will take you a few goes to get used to it, but you'll start to see yourself rewiring your brain and mind to think in that way. Now, when I read a book, all I ever look for is stories, strategies, and statistics. And I know that on every chapter and every page, my mind is now programmed to look for those elements. In the same way, I'm always thinking, how can I explain this to someone? And that forms my top 3 lessons. And finally, I'm thinking, what do I need to apply? What's really in this book for me? And that forms my top 2 takeaways, or 3 if you need that extra one. In the next video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you now put all of that canvas into practice. It's really going to focus on those 2 or 3 key takeaways. So make those takeaways about you. I'll see you in the next video.